It's a very dangerous topic to discuss, so forgive me for my little preemptive cheat, which is to remind you that I'm a parent myself, and that a big chunk of my social activism is dedicated to protecting children's rights. Now, let's talk about pedophilia.
Raping a child is arguably the most disgusting of all crimes. However, pedophilia, meaning sexual attraction to children, is not a crime as long as it is not accompanied by action. According to some interpretations, it's a diagnosis, a mental disorder. According to others, it's a variation of sexuality. For simplicity, it can be perceived as an illness.
Remember, being sexually attracted to women doesn't mean that you will rape a woman. Being sexually attracted to men doesn't mean that you will rape a man. And being sexually attracted to children doesn't mean that you will rape a child.
Few of us can control our physiology and attractions, but most of us are able to control our actions. Like most people with healthy sexual preferences, many pedophiles avoid inappropriately touching the objects of their desire. They also restrain their sexual drive by plain moral principles or by the fear of consequences. They adopt self-control for preventing their urges from turning into action. Like anyone who really wants to punch their boss in the face, but doesn't do it because they're not a savage or they care about their position. Or anyone who really wants someone's body, but understands that no means no. At the same time, many molesters and rapists of children are not psychologically pedophiles. Oftentimes, it's relatives of the child, not excluding parents and legal guardians. Usually under the influence of alcohol or other substances. Sometimes it may be elder siblings or orphanage mates, unable or unwilling to control their libido. And sometimes it's producers of child porn in the pursuit of profit. For those, a child's body is just a commodity, not an object of attraction.
Despite partial correlation, pedophilia and child rape are two fundamentally different problems, having fundamentally different effects on society and requiring fundamentally different approaches. Let's get our priorities straight. What is more important to us? To protect children or to vent our righteous indignation? I see only one acceptable option. Putting emotions aside, abandoning the witch hunt, and devoting our best efforts to protecting potential victims of both of these problems.
Child molestation has only one victim, the raped child. In order to minimize the number of such victims, we are in critical need of education and dialogue concerning two subjects. The first one is consent. Who is able to give it? Which situations must be avoided? In which situations we should be especially careful in order to reduce the chance of negative consequences. Everyone knows rape is wrong is a dangerous simplification of the issue. Well, okay, maybe everyone does know that rape is wrong, but people are still arguing on what is rape, when it is rape, and why it is rape. And far too many people rely on their instincts rather than facts and solid ethical rationale. The second subject on which education is direly needed is child sexuality. What information should be provided to children and at what age? What in the behavior of a child is healthy, even if inconvenient for conservative adults? And what is a symptom of a trauma or of impaired development? Which actions towards children are necessary for their psychological well-being and which ones will traumatize them?
All these are the topics I hope to discuss in my future videos. For now, I'll just emphasize the most important part. Child rape is rarely committed by some perverted alien monster we're used to imagine. This would be too simple to be true. It's a messy, convoluted issue involving a lot of stupidity, ignorance, exploitation and denial. A problem that is much closer to home than we are comfortable to admit.
In turn, pedophilia has two possible victims. By default, it is the pedophile. Their already problematic sexual attraction that can't be acted on without breaking someone's life is exacerbated by the fact that pedophiles have to hide their problem from society and often from themselves. They can't ask for help, and there's no one to share their internal struggle with. Their mind continues to crumble due to stress and the dissonance between morality, fear and physiology. And when the situation gets out of control, there can be only two possible outcomes. Either the pedophile commits suicide, or we're dealing with the aforementioned situation of child rape, in which case the second unnecessary victim of pedophilia emerges. Neither the law nor the public condemnation can help in eradicating pedophilia. Pedophilia is within the mind and body of a person. However, as a society, we are able to create an environment that will allow a pedophile to find psychological help before it's too late. An environment that will eliminate the need to hide from the world or live in denial. That will reduce the likelihood of those with a disorder snapping and doing something tragic, or relapsing if the situation is already tragic. As a consequence, such an environment will help to avoid unnecessary victims. Even if a pedophile really struggles with the urges to commit a crime against a child's safety, it is in our best interest to help the pedophile emerge victorious in this fight.
To phrase it pretentiously, a saved pedophile is a saved person, a productive member of society. A pedophile we didn't save is either a dead pedophile or a predator.
We need more research on pedophilia. We need people who are ready to share their feelings and experiences in order for us to understand the big picture of the issue. We need therapies and support groups for helping pedophiles and preventing them from crossing the line that must not be crossed. It is necessary to learn whether drawings of naked children, porn with adults posing as adolescents, and sex toys in the shape of a child can help pedophiles in controlling themselves, or whether it is the other way around, and these things will only fuel their drives. Is there a way to cure at least some of pedophiles, or is pedophilia completely incurable?
Speculation and an intuitive approach are inapplicable here.
The stakes are too high. And yet, in our stand against pedophilia, most of us are guided not by the intent to protect children, but by a need to protect our idea of a child as a pure innocent creature, that in our minds must not be associated with adult topics till late teens. People wish death upon pedophiles for the same reasons. They evade inappropriate questions asked by a child and oppose sex education in school, ignoring the fact that sex ed reduces the number of unwanted pregnancies and STDs in adolescence and helps to avoid a lot of other problems, both in childhood and in adulthood. For the same emotional reasons, parents punish children caught during playing doctor or watching pornography. They scare a boy by saying he will grow up to be a rapist. They scare a girl by saying she will grow up to be a prostitute, instead of sitting down with the child to calmly explain that pornography is artistic in nature and is fundamentally different from a real-life relationship. Few things in the world are as destructive as the slogan "Let kids be kids." Although time must be taken to bring children from naivete to awareness, this process must be accepted and begin early, especially if children are to be kept safe.
In my heart, I can perfectly understand the righteous indignation and the desire to find and punish a person for a mere thought of touching a child inappropriately. I understand the impulse to despise pedophiles and everything associated with them. My worst nightmares come from my fears for my child. There are times when my anxiety makes it particularly hard to let her out of my sight, let alone out of the house. But the fact remains that by dehumanizing and stigmatizing pedophiles, we are not protecting children. We contribute to creating new victims. Emotions are the worst enemy in solving complex problems, while the understanding that a pedophile is not a monster from a horror story, but a person who was dealt a bad hand in life, can save more lives and substantially reduce the amount of suffering in the world. As I said, let's get our priorities straight.